Hi, I'm Martin Eastup, and I'd like to welcome you to my Medicare journey. A few years ago, I faced a life-changing health crisis. That experience gave me a new perspective and a new purpose. I would like to share my story. I woke up one Saturday morning, and I was retired, and I had been in the insurance business since I was 21 years old. And when I woke up that Saturday morning, I told my wife that I had something going on in my chest. And she says, "Are you having a heart attack on me?" I says, "No, I don't think so. I think it might be indigestion or gallbladder or something." She says, "You think you need to go to the hospital and have it checked out?" I said, "Yeah, maybe I better." So she took me to the hospital, and I went into the emergency room, saw the doctor, and he came in about an hour and a half later and says, "You hit a bingo." I says, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You were right, it's your gallbladder, it needs to come out." I said, "Well, it's not coming out today because I got errands I want to run." I said, "I got to go to Home Depot and Lowe's and so forth." And he says, "Well, you can't wait forever." So we ran our errands and that, and we went home later that afternoon. The wife said she was going to go take a nap, and I said I was going to go in the office. A half hour later, I was in her telling her that it was starting all back over up again, and she says, "You think you should go back to the hospital?" And I said, "Yeah, maybe I better." So I went back to the hospital. That was at a Saturday afternoon, evening. And while I was there, that nurse came in and told me they're not going to let you go home this time. You're here to stay. So Sunday morning, they're making a bunch of ruckus in the room, and I said, "Well, what's going on?" And they said, "We're getting you ready to go to surgery." I said, "Go to surgery? What do you mean?" They said, "Oh yeah, you're going to surgery." So I called the wife and told her I was going to surgery. It surprised me. So anyway, they took me to surgery on Sunday morning, and on Monday afternoon, the hospitalist came in and says, "You got to go home today." I says, "I don't feel right." He goes, "Well, what's wrong?" I says, "Well, I don't know. You're the doctor. You tell me." So anyway, I went home, and that evening, I started vomiting, and I thought, well, maybe it's the anesthesia, or maybe it's pain medicine or something, but I don't know, but it just kept getting worse and worse. So as it did get worse, we decided that I should go back to the hospital because I was getting pretty weak. When I got back to the hospital, they told me to go sit out there in a chair, and I says, "I'm just too weak to sit in this chair anymore." I said, "You either got to put me on a gurney and hide me in a hallway, or you got to uh, put me on a pallet." So finally, they got me in a room, and after they took my blood and so forth, they came in to tell me that they said, "Mr. Eastup, you got sepsis." I says, "What do you mean?" They said, "Apparently that when they took out your gallbladder, they nicked your colon, and for the last 2 days, your colon's been emptying into your body." Basically, what they were telling me is that all of my organs were poisoned. I wound up spending 35 days there. I had to have a major surgery, an exploratory. They were looking for the leak, and I spent 11 days on a ventilator and 21 days in a coma. They finally got me down to therapy, and what they took me down to this gentleman. He says, "I want to talk to you about what we're going to do." And he started telling me this. I said, "Whoa, wait a minute." I said, "I can't do any of that." I said, "They're putting me in a sling and lifting me out of bed to put me in a chair." And he says, "Bend over, I want to tell you something." I bent over, this young guy. He says, "Yeah." He says, "I want to tell you something right now, that your ass is mine and you'll do what I tell you to do." I backed up and I said, "Whoa, let me ask you a question. Did I sign up for physical therapy or did I join the Marines?" Well, him and I became very good friends, and he helped me a lot. About 6 months later, the wife asked me to come in the kitchen if I could help her with something. I said, "Sure, what's going on?" She goes, "I got all this paper from Medicare and I don't understand it." And she says, "You think you could help me?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so." So I looked at it and I said, "This is what I'm going to do." She goes, "What are you talking about?" Well, I told the guy upstairs, I bartered with him, that if he'd help me get out of this mess that I'm in, that I would do something to help people. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to help people, seniors especially, survive and work with the system of Medicare. I made a promise if I survived, I'd dedicate my life to helping others navigate the healthcare system, especially Medicare. Today, I guide people through their Medicare choices with clarity, compassion, and real life experience because I lived it and I truly care. And my goal in life is to help people, and I enjoy what I do. Thank you.